precise. So I've got a wee plan there, and I want to see if I can get some measurements. I got a couple of photos here of this one in Australia. The resolution's not very high, but I'm going to try and work out a few things. I've actually just asked the guy to send me to some email, some pictures of the, like, obviously the inner workings as much as possible, and give me some measurements and bits and pieces on some high resolution photos, not just ones sent through Messenger, to actually send it to my email. And what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to see if I can pick up a little projector, because there's some cheap ones around now, and we'll project it onto the wall like I was talking about in the last video. But I've got a door handle here, and it's I can kind of see it. It's not very clear, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale off that door handle and work out where that piece is, and then obviously how long this piece is, and I'll just work out a few rough things. I'll just in my head, and then we might just have a look and just see where this spot is for a start off on the car. This is possibly stuff to help hold the, I'd imagine, the roof bracketry. The top. So, excuse me, Halfass. Let's grab the door handle. So the door handle is so it's 95. It's about 3 3/4 inches long, the door handle, the real thing. So if I come into here, just to give me a rough scale, and I reckon the door handle's probably about there. Like the shadow's probably close enough, but about there. Maybe a little bit smaller than that. Battery must be going flat on this thing. So what's that? 0.4 of an inch, or about 11 millimeters. Alright. I'll say the handle was itself. So 95. I don't know, I'll work in millimeters because that's easy for me to work out. I could do it in inches, but so we've got 95 millimeters, a little bit over 95. We'll just get rough measurements. We won't get too technical. When I get some high resolution photos, we'll better get obviously a lot better idea. So 95 to 11. Whatever we work out, I'll come back to you. So I'll use my phone as a calculator. Right, so the conversion is basically whatever measurement's on here. If I times that by 8.63, that'll bring me back up to full scale again. So I've just taken, from the edge of that door to roughly where the centre of that bolt is, or whatever that bracket is for this. I've just taken that rough measurement, which is 17.6 millimeters roughly. So if I times that up, that'll give me the measurement, how far back that is from the door. So I'll come back to you in a second, because I don't have another phone here to calculate on. You're right, so that's 152 millimeters from there to there, which doesn't sound like far, but we'll go have a look. I'll unplug you and we'll go have a wee look. Find a tape measure. I think I've got a tape measure here somewhere. I was playing around with it. Where's that tape measure gone? Oh, there. It's on the front guard. So 152. Right, so from here, roughly, so we're about 10, 20, 30, 40. So we're about there somewhere. Just come back a little bit. So about there somewhere. from the back of the body. So that's where that bracket is. Comes in here. So this back of this body here is probably off a duplex. It's probably not a proper Tourer body, the back. So like it hasn't got the hole in it for this piece, but it's roughly about there. Give or take a little bit, you know what I mean? So what I might do is I might just work out some rough measurements from that drawing, and then once I get some decent drawings and we get a wheel, see if we can pick up a little projector, because they sell them at lots of, some of the like budget places. Hold on. Righty, so I've marked roughly on the body where I think this hood stuff will be hinged from, which is about here somewhere. So I'm thinking that if that is where it's going to be, we need to put some extra, maybe some extra support or bracing in there to help hold the extra load of that top. Like the wood would be okay, you know, but if I can make something that comes in about, it's actually where that support bar is, it's in there somewhere. So like, I'm thinking if I make, I don't know, I think I need to make something extra to help support it. That's probably why this is here, that bracket that I'm touching, which you can see on that other side. That's probably to help support that area. I'll go have a quick wee look on the other side and just see if that is about that same spot too. Yeah, it's about dead on. It is. It's pretty much, if I'm touching that bar, and it's pretty much, it's about dead on with that. So yeah, I'd like to make something that maybe ties in with that. So if it's not screwed into the wood, which it possibly is, but maybe just something a little bit extra, so maybe the bolt for that or something like that is tied into something a bit more than just the wood. And so it's a bit more stiff and secure. But so that's something I can start planning towards. So we'll go back and have a wee more look at this drawing, and I'll just work out a few more pieces and just get a bit more of an idea. Bits and pieces. Like I might work out the length of this at a rough guess, and maybe just some rough heights up, like I can measure sort of roughly from the back here. I'm like trying to work a few pieces out. I'll just get rough ideas until we can get a decent resolution picture and actually get something a little bit more accurate, and maybe get some measurements from an actual guy, so I can cross-reference what I'm seeing and what I'm getting on a scale to what he's actually measured. And yeah, because we obviously know this height. I know the size of the wheels. If I pull it up, like I know that wheel's I think it's 100 or was it 670 millimeters from outside of the rim to the outside of the rim. So I know that exact measurement. So like we can work a lot of things out from that. Oh God, it's not touchscreen, is it? It used to be phone. But yeah, we can work a few of these things out. Now, just to give us a ballpark, and to try and get some ideas. So it looks like there's 1, 2, 3 main bows, if you know what I mean. But it's the mechanism inside that hooks that all together to get it to work. Like I don't know what it was in here, if you know what I mean, in between. There's other things in between. So yeah, like I said, that's obviously the main one that comes up, and there's that. But is there other stuff in between here? What else is in between, if you know what I mean? Like there's obviously bracketry between that and that and that and that, is it? Or, like I don't know. I can't see what's in there. I'm guessing. So yeah, but anyway, I'll take a few more measurements and and I'll come back to you with a rough idea anyway. So from just looking at that picture there, I've scaled up the best I can, just roughly. It's probably, to be honest, it's probably enough. Like, I need a few more measurements, like widths and stuff like that, but I've got the rough sizes of the windows, you know, where the bars are, all those sorts of things, the distance between them, obviously the heights, how far up they are, and all that sort of thing. So I would actually better work most of these things out, you know, and make it work. It's more, a lot of the things, it's the mechanism inside, the thickness of these bars, so I can replicate it, and a few photos of those bits and pieces, so I can replicate how they were put together, you know, and obviously just lots of those little things. You know, like these domes are easy enough to work out. You know, we can say, oh, okay, there's one on each end of the door. That's easy enough. I've got reference to some of those anyway. You know, and there's so many on the side. And if I get some photos across the back, we can get so many across the back, and all those things out. We can replicate it. You know, that's easy enough. So it's just a matter of measurements basically, and then obviously knowing. Like, I can measure this too roughly and get an idea, but if I've got if I've got such proper measurements to say, oh, okay, that bar's, you know, inch thick or an inch and a half thick or whatever it is, or, you know, 20 mil or 30 mil or whatever, we can make that, and then we can obviously work out what these bits are, because that looks like the back of that's smaller, it's so much up to there, and then, you know, all the hinge points and bits and pieces, and obviously the workings inside, and then how that top, what that piece there looks like in the top, and there's lots of things to make. So, but anyway, so I'll write a few more measurements on the body here, so I can work a few more things out, and I can just stand here with a ruler or tape measure, and I can just have a look and just see if that sort of feels right and works and looks right. I've got to scale these measurements up. I might actually redraw this on a big piece of paper and actually draw it properly. I could actually do it like a proper drawing of that and scale it. You know, we've got a rough idea what the width of them are, but because, you know, obviously we know, like, it's so wide and it's going to hang out here a little bit and a few things like that. Sorry about freaking, man, I need to replace the glass in the back of this camera because you can see that freaking reflection in it. But anyway, yeah, so we're getting there. Right, how you going, guys? So I don't know if you can see just above the bench there, like about 4 inches up from the bottom of the bench, I've actually drawn a line across there. It starts at that seam. Basically from that seam back is the back of the car, and I've just drawn a rough thing of the windscreen post thing up there, and I've drawn back of the body just with the rough measurements of the doors, and then up to the back of the body, which is over here, that line, and then it kicks up, or starts kicking up to, it's about an extra 4 inches higher right at the back than what it is through the rest of the car, off that level, if you know what I mean. So I've just drawn that line level, obviously, and then from here to here it changes 100 mils, a little bit over 100 mils, or a little bit over 4 inches from the head to the ground. Now I'm not sure if that's to do with the body. Actually, what I should do, because I might just double check that, I might take another level from the ground to the top of the door. Again, with this measurement thing in this, like on a level, just sit there underneath and get another measurement, just to make sure that I'm not kicked up too much here at the back. Not that that's critical, but that just gives me the back of the vehicle. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to just do some rough lines on here from what I can see with that drawing or that photo and the measurements, and see if I can get a rough scale of what the top should look like. And then we might actually be able to work out some extra bits and pieces. I'm just trying to work it out in here before I get any other info, because I'm just trying to see if we can I was just talking to the owner, and he's going to try and see if he can get us some white tube like condu or something like that, some steel stuff that we can maybe tack together and just get a rough frame built up on the car, so when we actually come to make it as something more solid, we've got a lot more idea of how much material we need, and then we can obviously work out what needs to be done. Because yeah, it's going to be quite a learning curve, because I've never made anything like this before, let alone what the pieces look like inside. But we can get a ballpark figure of what it should look like, we can progress from here. So I'll just take a couple more measurements off the body down to the ground, just so I can see. I know that car's not sitting level, if you know what I mean, like the body doesn't sit level. So I need to work out just whether this distance up is about right. It's probably not critical, but I just want to get an idea. So I'll come back to you in a minute. Let's go take some measurements and I'll come back. Right, so what I do just to see whether the body is actually level within itself, if you know what I mean, like across the doors. I actually set the laser on here on the body and just got the level and just run it along the edge of the body just to see whether it moves up and down on the face of it, and it stayed fairly consistent with, you know, within, it stayed probably about half an inch up, thereabouts. It wiggled a little bit, but yeah, it was fairly reasonable until we got back to about here somewhere. It started climbing. It wasn't until about here that it actually run off the bottom of the thing, if you know what I mean. So yeah, it's probably just a gentle curve. It's probably a little bit high with the difference, because it's 40 mil higher here to the ground than what it is front. It's 40 mils difference. So if you took that into the equation, this is probably back down here somewhere. But I won't panic about it. I'll just, I can change it. It's not a critical thing, but it's about 40 mil difference. That probably takes a little bit off that height difference, because it's going to get higher. It's kept up in it. We'll make it a little bit. It's not going to get a lot. So we'll play into it a little bit. So. Hopefully you can see this all right. Hopefully it shows up on the camera okay. So I've drawn roughly what I think it should be going off that photo and just trying to scale it up. Just using some verniers, which I need to turn off. Scaling it off the picture with known measurements, and then scaling it. I've rescaled it a couple of times just off different pieces, like knowing, like having a known measurement, and scaling it, because obviously the picture's distorted. So I've done the best I can with visually seeing things where they lay, and then obviously using scale measurements at different points to try and get a fairly good reference. So got the bar that comes up the back. It actually gets bigger at the back than it does at the bottom. It's a tapered tube. And Dad said it could be a tapered tube, so that makes sense. That's that bar up there. The rest I don't have a clue how it goes, but you can physically see that in the photo. Obviously that's your top of the back of the body, runs away. It's the first window in the back section before the door. This overlaps the canvas piece for the door, comes back and overlaps obviously the inner of that piece, if you know what I mean, or that overlaps it. So it comes back further. And it's got the window size is actually about the same length as well. It's a little bit longer than the door. Obviously the top tape's down. Looks like there's another point here for another. I'm guessing it possibly, without looking inside. I'll come back to here. It's hard to say without seeing inside here. It possibly comes back. I don't know. I don't know how this collapses up. That's the thing. Without seeing it, but like you can physically see that. You can physically see that. That looks like it's a tapered tube back to so far, and then it might be just a standard tube in there. And not sure. Hard to say. But you can see where I mean by that door piece overlaps and this overlaps, and that looks like it comes forward, but it might be a solid piece that sits on top of here too. But just it's got enough give in it that it just comes out with the door. So yeah, there's lots of little things there and references, like, because I know that distance, I know the distance of the door, I know the distance of door handles, all those sorts of things. So it gives me a reference to take measurements, and then I can get heights, and then when I come up here, because the photo's distorted, it looks like it's been taken from near the back. I know what the distance is from there to the centre of the rough centre of this piece here where it bolts on. I know that was 12 inches basically. So I knew that the height of this whole thing is like 500 millimeters or whatever it is in inches, and I know that sits down below the top point, obviously. So there's lots of little things I know. So yeah, so from here to the centre of here, which is where that bracket comes out for the windscreen, that's basically 12 inches. To right to the top of here is would be, what is it? It's another 8 inches, I think, from here to here. And this is down a little bit. I know that distance, like, you know, the distance of the door. So it gives me a scale to draw roughly what that is on this wall, full scale. That's full scale. So now if I can get some other information, we can plan on here. It's not ideal to draw on the wall, but it's only drawn there in pencil, so it will rub off. And I've written here like front door, back door, and try to give as much marking as I could without confusing the situation. So yeah, hopefully if we can get some inner workings and work out what those pieces are meant to be, we'll be a long way from where we were. So at least we can start working some things out and try and get a handle on it. And it'll even be interesting trying to make the sort of the framework for these pieces, you know, because these, I presume they might have to fold up, I don't know. So that's information I can ask. So yeah. So hopefully the guy that I've been talking to, Dave is his name, I won't say his last name, but hopefully he can help me out a lot with all these bits and pieces, because he's got the car there. He can tell me a lot of info that I need to know. We can transfer the information onto here. I'll need to work out I need to make up a better drawing and then put some measurements on it, just so we can refer back to this, and we can refer back to our drawing with some measurements. And then hopefully at some other point I can help somebody else. I can put this information up and help somebody else out if they are doing the same sort of thing, you know, building it from scratch. Because like building it from scratch is a big job, because you've got nothing to go by, no information. You know, pulling a drawing up and starting, but yeah, we're having another car just to confirm some things it makes a hell of a difference. But it's a shame it's, 2,000 or 3,000 kilometres that direction across the Tasman Sea. Anyway, we're getting there. So this is pretty much all I've done all day, is just worked out measurements, drawn it on here, referred back to the vehicle. I've just done, all I've pretty much done today is just working out. So yeah, I might make it that for today's video anyway. I've got a few minutes here yet, but I don't think there's not much else to discuss really. It's just me been trying to work out. This is one of these days where you just got to work shit out, especially like when you're trying to work shit out of fresh air. Yeah, very difficult. If you've got something tangible to work with, makes it a bit easier, because you can bolt things together and go, no, that doesn't look right. But when you've got a visual picture, but you've got actually nothing tangible to work out, it takes a lot of working and figuring out and drawing, and that's why I drew it sort of full scale, so I can get a bit more of an idea. And yeah, so yeah, we can write information up on here. We'll just write it up here with a pencil, and obviously I might over the next couple of days when I get a chance, I might draw a proper drawing, like technical drawing, as technical as possible within reason, and I can write some measurements and bits and pieces and stuff, and when we get a wee bit more info, it'll make a big difference, and obviously get some more accurate measurements, and then we can adjust. Like we don't have to change the drawing, but we can just write that this measurement from the edge of the back door to the pivot point for that is, so many millimetres or fractions of an inch or inches, down from there, and a certain distance from there to the door, and we can start working these things out, and really, it's not going to matter if it's not 100% dead accurate. The closer we can get it, the better. At least you can say, well, it's as authentic as it can be, because I had nothing to make, nothing to go by. We just information and pictures. So yeah, we'll get there. Alrighty, catch you later on.